Christopher Nolan shielded Zack Snyder from watching Justice League. Discover the tragic story, fan movement, and the triumph of the Snyder Cut. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. Christopher Nolan and Zack Snyder are both titans of modern cinema and have immensely contributed to the superhero genre. The former is still celebrated for his Dark Knight trilogy, which was revolutionary, while the latter is known for infusing larger-than-life visuals with gritty storytelling. Their creative pursuits have also led to camaraderie between the two, and amid the chaos of one film's production, Nolan stepped in to shield Snyder from unnecessary heartbreak. This story is about one of the darkest chapters of DC that occurred in real life, becoming a saga of tragedy and eventually rebuilding. Zack Snyder had to step away from the 2017 Justice League due to a devastating personal tragedy. The absence of his creative force turned the movie into a lackluster, confusing, and boring experience. Warner Brothers had entrusted Joss Whedon in the absence of Snyder, and the hastily reworked version was rejected by fans and critics alike. As per reports, the director's wife, Deborah Snyder, attended a private screening and watched the movie alongside Christopher Nolan, who was an executive producer of the film, via Vanity Fair. The experience was far from decent because she recounted the aftermath, stating, "They came and they just said, 'You can never see that movie.'" Nolan felt that looking at Whedon's cut would only increase Snyder's pain, and his wife agreed with the sentiment, believing that it would break his heart. The movie eventually became an example of why studios shouldn't interfere and push projects to meet deadlines by neglecting their quality. Snyder had to leave the movie because his family was struck with the most painful grief that one could ever experience. His daughter, Autumn Snyder, had taken her own life in 2017, which left everyone shattered. The studio's demands kept increasing, and he did not want to be more drained in the process. His exit was framed to be voluntary, but the director clarified that the circumstances were far more complicated. Viewers were disappointed to see the movie underperform in all aspects, and the demand for #SnyderCut became a relentless movement. Fans rebelled and campaigned tirelessly, in an attempt to push the studio into releasing Snyder's original vision. Finally, in 2021, all their efforts paid off, and the 4-hour-long Snyder Cut was released on HBO Max. The director dedicated his film to Autumn, stating that, without her, this absolutely would not have happened. Zack Snyder's plans for Zeus and Wonder Woman in the DCU is almost as controversial as his decision for Ben Affleck's Batman. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. Zack Snyder's DCU feels like a long-forgotten fever dream now that the new age of the DCU dawns with James Gunn and company. However, there was a time when Snyder's unrealized plans for his DC films, which began with Henry Cavill's Man of Steel, excited fans despite their polarizing response at the cinemas. Snyder finished his run with the DCU after Zack Snyder's Justice League, but revealed many of his initial plans for the franchise that included a 5-film arc. Among other deviations from the comics, the filmmaker revealed that he planned to ground the origins of gods like Zeus and heroes like Wonder Woman in the reality of the films by making them Kryptonian. While the MCU and Marvel Comics explored Norse mythology with heroes like Thor and Loki, the DC Universe explored Greek and Roman mythology in the comics. From the Amazons to Atlantis, the Greek mythologies were expanded to be included in the superhero universe of the comics, with characters like Zeus and Ares making appearances. While Ares was the main antagonist in 2017's Wonder Woman, the god of lightning and the king of gods, Zeus, was revealed in the opening montage of Wonder Woman and Justice League. Zack Snyder's vision for the DCU included an exploration of the way gods and godlike figures are treated, with Henry Cavill's Superman turning from an alien to a god. In a Q&A panel held in 2023, Snyder revealed how he planned to give an explanation of the origins of other gods' powers within the DCU. He said, via comic book, "We thought Zeus could possibly be Kryptonian so that Wonder Woman's powers. Anyway, you can sort of see where that's going. The whole thing of whether or not magic or gods, there's a version of where you're like, that's cool, I guess, then there's the scientific aspect. You have the pathology of wondering where gods come from. We had played around with that quite a bit." The films would reportedly then explore the concept of new gods like Darkseid and Steppenwolf, who entered Earth with Justice League. Fans got a glimpse of Zack Snyder's plans for the DCU with visions in Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, and Zack Snyder's Justice League. A post-apocalyptic world ruled by Darkseid and a rogue Superman, with Batman and other heroes teaming up with the likes of Joker to stop the two. However, Snyder definitely had more in mind. Despite the concept of a realistic explanation of Zeus and Ares' powers, as well as the difference between the old gods and the new gods, with Henry Cavill's Superman acting like a weird bridge, being interesting, the Kryptonian origins of the Olympian gods did not go down well with fans. Many criticized the idea and were grateful it was not realized on film. The Snyderverse is finally dead now, and James Gunn is set to explore gods and monsters in his own bright and hopeful way with the DCU and Superman. David Corenswet's Superman seems to be the only god on the horizon for now.
Veteran director Zack Snyder, known for his extensive work in the DCU, revealed that he took his work with him when he left Warner Brothers. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. It was a terrible moment for Zack Snyder when he temporarily left the production of Justice League to attend to some personal matters. He was devastated when he saw Joss Whedon stepping in as the director and the chaotic mess that it resulted in. After leaving Warner Brothers, Snyder was often called for his input on the film that was being made by Joss Whedon. It got to a point where Zack and Deborah Snyder, his wife, decided to stop completely. The end result was the poorly received Whedon's Justice League, which was hailed by many fans as one of the worst DC films to exist. However, when Snyder left Warner Brothers, he took his laptop with him on which a sticker of Justice League was emblazoned. As per his talks with Vanity Fair, the laptop had the 4-hour uncut version of his version of the film. The film was devoid of any visual effects or music and was completely in black and white. We would just show it to random people who stopped by, like our friends or whatever. As fate would have it, fans of Snyder went on a campaign, and the hashtag #ReleaseTheSnyderCut hashtag was trending on Twitter, now X, for quite a while. Zack Snyder finally got to see his version of the film released in theaters as Zack Snyder's Justice League was eventually released in 2021. The film turned out to be one of Snyder's best and was one of the most anticipated films for DC characters. However, it wasn't without some disputes. Starting in 2013, Snyder's take on Henry Cavill's Man of Steel forced people to turn their heads as Superman's no-kill rule was broken on theater screens. His DCU was a dark take on these characters who were rather on the good or evil side. Snyder loved morally gray characters, and as a result, there were some tensions with Warner Brothers while he was working on his films. According to his interview with a Hollywood Reporter, Snyder reported that they picked the wrong guy. "I never looked at it as the job. Oh, I'm the architect of DC. I need to create entertainment for DC that sells toys, and that is for the masses and fun for everyone." He further continued, "I didn't care about that. I liked Batman, I liked Superman, I wanted to make something cool. You picked the wrong guy if you wanted a product." After the Snyder Cut was released in theaters, fans fell in love with the director's style. Zack Snyder's Justice League was Snyder's final gift to the DCU before he decided to part ways for good. Released in 2021, the iconic film currently stands at a rating of 7.9/.